All right, great. So I went down a weird rabbit hole of the Fast and the Furious franchise the other day.
Okay.
Out of just curiosity, because like, I don't really want to watch them, but like I was just kind of curious. I was thinking, I was like, remembering what the first two were, and knowing where it's at now, I was like, what the hell happened to the series? Because like the first one is like more of like a crime drama thriller in a way, with like like comedic. It's not the over the top action movie that we know now. You know what I mean?
Like throwing a car out of an airplane or whatever.
That didn't happen until Fast 5, I found out. Like,
okay.
Like, it was literally, I was sitting there, I was just reading, I was like, okay, so Fast 1 happened, and then the second one happened. Vin Diesel's not even in it. It's just pretty much like Paul Walker and Tyrese is the bad guy that he's going after. And then Fast 3 happened, which is Tokyo Drift, and caused a whole like Tokyo, or the whole like drifting bullshit craze. And then Fast 4, I think they finally do bring back Vin Diesel with Paul Walker, and it's just like I don't even know what the fuck happened to Fast 4, but then Fast 5 is when they bring The Rock into it, and now it's like going over the top. And that's the Fast and the Furious franchise that people know and love today. Like, it actually like started like setting like box office records and shit. And I was like, wow, it was, I was sitting there and was like, there's got to be something. And I literally just looked up evolution of the Fast series, and I found an essay written on it at Forbes.com, and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted.
I think, honestly, Fast and the Furious is a franchise I totally missed. I've never even seen. I think I accidentally, it was just, by that I mean like it was just on somewhere. I think I've seen Tokyo Drift, because when I think of Fast and the Furious, that's the one I think of. But
which is like, it's the one that has like no other character in it. Like it's the odd child.
It's like a spinoff.
Kind of, yeah.
It's like a spinoff.
It's like, it isn't until like later that a character from Tokyo Drift becomes like part of the Fast, like the family.
The family. Yeah, it's just like, because we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Like, that's a franchise I totally missed, and I have no desire to watch it.
No, same.
In any way, shape, or form.
I kind of do now after reading the essay.
After reading the essay.
Because I was like, well, also just thinking about it, like, that's a strange franchise.
I mean, it's like really, like, it's amazing how popular it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for like where it came from and everything, like, yeah, just kind of like, it's just weird to see something that started as literally like a really like grounded in reality, like crime thriller, like racing thriller, turned into this like over the top Michael Bay explosion type of fucking movie, you know?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my thought of the day.
Oh. Well, this is Tommy. Oh, actually, wait.
Send
me that essay.
Okay, I'll try to find it again, and I will. Yeah.
Okay. This is Tommy.
And this is Jacob.
This is Tommy
and Jacob's mixtape. Hey, we got it.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, wow, we are back again and with another remote recording because apparently I can't get negative, but that's fine. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. I'm not going stir crazy alone in my, well, I'm not alone. I have a roommate, but he's busy doing his own stuff and I'm just hiding in my room so I don't get him sick. Anywho, let's not dwell on that because we have other stuff to talk about today.
He's busy playing WoW.
He is. He actually got himself his own computer in his room now. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got a PC, yeah.
Nerd.
But yeah, well, today, since I am also going to be gone for a little bit, so we won't really be able to record properly. Anywho, yeah, we're doing a banter episode today. If you didn't listen to us last week, waiting for you, Tom. Yeah. Yeah,
we're doing sorry, I'll get there. I'm waiting for my Red Bull to kick in. Long ago, we did a Dream Reboot episode, which actually is a pretty good listen if I do say myself, because it was pretty fun to do, so I feel like it was fun to listen to. I'm tooting my own horn. But what we did then was we did like more strictly animated shows that we like to be redone today.
Yeah.
With this one we did.
I almost accidentally redid one of them. I was like, wait, no. That's why I asked. I was like, wait, what was the list?
I almost did too. I was like, man, it would be really cool. Spawn.
Yeah,
wait a minute. I think that's why I had a hard time. I mean, I had a really hard time with this. But what we did instead this time is we did kind of more of a varied list. So we made basically a video game, animation, movie. Like, it was just kind of like, what would you just like to be seen done today?
Yeah, exactly. So we only got 3 topics each this time. But I don't know. I'm really excited about this episode. I think also just because the free time that I had, I did a lot of research on some of these. And rewatched a lot of it.
Cool, I think, yeah, and like I was saying, I was having a really hard time, so I think Jacob's going to be kind of leading us in here, because the ones I came up with are more like concepts as opposed to actual properties, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, let's see, and without any further ado, let's kick it off. We're going to start with our video games each. Did you want to start with yours? I'm really curious what yours is. No,
I want yours is more grounded, so let's start with you. No.
I don't have a lot to say about the video game one, but okay, I can start with mine. Oh, okay. So the video game franchise that I actually want to see get rebooted is Parasite Eve. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
That sounds really familiar.
What
is that, Jacob?
Well, let me tell you, Tommy. It was developed by Squaresoft, Square Enix. Squaresoft back in the late 90s. And it was kind of like Resident Evil meets like a turn-based RPG. So like the synopsis, and this is from, it's actually Parasite Eve fandom. The story follows an intelligent, half-white, half-Japanese New York City police officer named Aya Brea, and her struggle against an ancient evil called Eve, threatening humanity, animals, and all life on Earth. The horrifying bond between Aya and Eve will continue until one of them dies. The player, as Aya Brea, must hunt down the biological entity known as Eve, as well as mutated monsters along the way. The player must upgrade Aya's weapons and hidden mitochondrial powers to save New York City. So,
this looks cool.
Dude, yeah, no, it was really fucking awesome. And also, like, the gameplay for it was a lot of fixed camera angle because it's a PlayStation 1 game. And the
first image is her butt.
Nice. It feels like a Resident Evil game because of the horror aspect, but then when you get into like encounters with enemies, you have like a limited playing area that you can run around in, and then like you have an action time battle system. So like as your bar goes through your time, you get to choose like your attack, your special attack, and whatnot. And there's like an area of effect that it can actually like hit certain enemies over here. You're like you can try to avoid the enemy's attack, kind of like Final Fantasy VII Remake battle system a little bit, but really, really like early on type thing. I never really played it 100%. So like this was a game that I played with my friends Trey and Squib back in high school when we were going through our Resident Evil kick. They played through it more and like actually beat it and whatnot. I was just kind of around, but I remember being very interested in this concept, and it's always stuck in my mind. And I actually always thought it was a Capcom property, like Resident Evil.
Because it looks like that. Like,
it does, 100%.
Yeah, I mean that's a good pick. This would be like, especially with today's like next gen consoles. Like you could even a remake of this would be like
100%.
Like a shot for shot remake and not like a reboot. Like this would be
like
cool.
What they did with Resident Evil 2. You know, like what they did with Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. You know, but they could even like keep it in the, like it doesn't even have to be kind of in that style of the Resident Evil remakes or even The Last of Us. Like it could be influenced by that, but still have like the battle system that's similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake, because it's you know, and like just keeping with like the upgrading of your weapons and like your abilities and stuff. Like you could do so much with a game like this, and there was supposed to be a third one that came out, but it just got pushed aside and just canceled essentially. And there was going to be a third one on the PlayStation 2, but it never happened. They did do technically a third one for like mobile gaming. That was just a huge bomb. I want to say that was in like 2011 or something.
And when you're talking about like we're talking about mobile gaming and stuff like that, it looks like that there was actually a version that was on the PSP. If anyone remembers what the hell was, that thing was that thing was cool. It was before the Vita, little discs.
Yeah, well, the Vita was the discs too, wasn't it?
I don't know. I never had a Vita, so I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure they were discs. I had a friend who had one.
Fucking real weird side tangent, and we don't have to talk about it very long. I just want to make it. PlayStation needs to get back into the handheld game, like the PSP, PlayStation Vita. Like I need a new one. Like with the success.
I don't know if
Switch,
Sony will. I don't know. Like because of the Steam Deck and what the Switch is, I highly doubt. Like I think they're venturing into that with the Vita and everything, and just like how much they didn't put much care into it. And with how popular the Switch is, Nintendo will probably always control the portable gaming system. Like that's they have it down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They just have the titles for it.
Yeah, I guess there wasn't a whole lot for like the PSP, but like the stuff they did make on the PSP were just cool. Like God of War on the PSP was actually pretty sick.
They had some cool Final Fantasy stuff. They had Kingdom Hearts. They had some great God of War spin-offs. But like other than that, like
Kingdom Hearts was on that?
They had a Kingdom Hearts game on it, yeah.
What? Oh, that's cool.
Birth by Sleep. You would play by 3 different characters. You played the beginning of the storyline of the finding of the Keymasters. You find out, yeah.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, Parasite Eve. That's a good choice.
I mean, yeah, I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I just think it's a really fun. It's really cool to see a video game that mixed two really great genres of like horror, survival horror with RPG. And honestly, if it was to pop off, like it could create a really cool like TV franchise. You know, maybe some really bad Resident Evil style movies.
Yeah. Bad but fun.
Yeah, so I'd say my go-to for video game revival or reboot is Parasite Eve.
Right on. So, and then mine is I just recently beat 2015's Ratchet and Clank, and I'd forgotten how much I love 3D platformers.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of want this is like a concept. I want them to start making more 3D platformers, but not because I know Ratchet and Clank Rift
they have one for that's you can port to the PS5, yeah.
But there's one made for the PS5, like the triggers and everything.
Yeah.
But like, what I really want is to have some like remasters or remake of those 3D platformers that were never like proper popular IPs, like Crash Bandicoot and all that. I want them to do like Vex or what
you've talked about this before.
Yeah. But you gave me one that I think would work really good for the platformers. Do a 3D platformer of Earthworm Jim.
Oh, dude, yeah.
With the humor.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Kind of adult, but like still like a kid, because and like the thing about it too that right now is really attracting me is also like getting older. Is I beat Ratchet and Clank in 3 days time. However many hours that was, but it took like 3 days, like three sittings to get through the whole thing, and
not my 185 hours I have in Elden Ring right now, and still haven't beat.
Yeah, it's just like I'm starting to realize it. Like, yeah, I kind of want just a 25-hour game, and I want it to be fucking over every now and then. You know what I mean? So,
would you be willing to spend $60 to $70 on that video game?
That's the problem, though. That's why I really want to get the new Ratchet and Clank, but it's a $70 game, and I'm like, I don't want to spend $70 on a 20-hour experience.
I mean, you could look up to see what the gameplay time is and see if it is worth your time. Also, kind of what you're explaining, like, Biomutant is kind of that game right now.
Biomutant?
Yeah, you're the little, like, furry thing. It's like the RPG element, but it's like...
But
I mean,
I know what you're talking about, but I don't get what you mean.
It's kind of got that third world or 3D world
platformy
thing to it, but it's like, yeah, but there's like more RPG elements to it and whatnot. I mean, am I wrong with that? Am I thinking of it? Am I remembering it incorrectly?
No, you remember. That's a pretty good thing about it.
But that one's not like kind of like, but it doesn't have like a weird adult humor that like Earthworm Jim could have.
Yeah, and I was even thinking with like Earthworm Jim too. You could do an RPG element where you can customize and add different attachments to his suit.
Yeah, or just his guns in general.
His guns.
Also, like you could get like weird like mutant upgrades for him, just him as a worm.
Yeah, and that was thinking like you could even have like sequences where it's like a stealth sequence, so he has to get out of the suit and he's like just a worm and he has to crawl around and like to get into these hard to reach areas, you know. Like
I was literally one of the levels in Earthworm Jim 2 is he's out of the suit and you're just him as the worm floating underwater trying to like navigate through like not touching the walls and stuff and like get electrocuted. Yeah.
That's awesome. But like, I guess, sorry, Earthworm Jim is a mutant worm that has a robotic suit, and he fights the forces of evil. And I'm only bringing that up because I'm sure that's a deep cut for people, and younger people may not even know who the fuck that is. But yeah, it was like a side-scroller for the... What was it on? It was on...
Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis.
Yeah, Super Nintendo and Sega. But yeah, it was like a side-scroller thing. I think they made a 3D one back in the day.
I think there was as well.
I only played it on Super Nintendo.
I've only played it on Super Nintendo. I think there was also like a Game Boy, like Game Boy Color one as well, or a Sega. What was it? Sega Game Gear? Yeah. Oh man.
Game Gear. I haven't thought about one of those in a while.
Yeah, that thing. I was thinking it was a monster of a fucking handheld machine.
There was a remake in 2010 of the original.
That's
game.
right. Yeah, that's right. I remember reading about that because I almost did Earthworm Jim as my remake.
But with this property, because it's so old, I would just say from the ground up, make a new one, make it a 3D platformer, make it super accessible to children, but also have a lot of like kind of adult humor in between the lines, like. I think
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah. That's that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, Earthworm Jim's the perfect property for people. Like, I think if you were to make an Earthworm Jim reboot remake, I think it would do really well with people our age. I think you'd actually get a lot of nostalgic gamers really like pumped about that.
Who developed it? It was developed by Rockstar.
Interplay. Conker?
Activision. Earthworm Jim. It was Activision was a big one. Interplay, Rockstar. Okay.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. That game's funny. Yeah, so I just want some more like kind of adult humor 3D platformers like Conker, or even like this might come back. I don't know, Voodoo Vince.
Oh, you've talked about Voodoo Vince. Yeah. Yeah,
where you're like the little like voodoo doll and to cause damage. I think
what was Sly Cooper?
Oh yeah, they just made one of those actually.
Oh, did they? Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to like dig. I'm trying to dig like deep into my brain.
But like for all my emo kids out there, Voodoo Vince, the way he'd inflict damage on enemies was by harming himself. Because he's a voodoo doll. Right, yeah. And it's really dark and twisted, but it's really funny, like in a really morbid way. It's like, oh, that was a game designed for children, I think. Kind of, sort of. But like just in the 2000, like the 90s, 2000 eras, there were so many of those games too. Like there's Bad Fur Day, even the Oddworld series.
Abe's Oddworld. Well, they're still making games for that series, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but they moved into kind of more of a...
They kind of stuck into a platformer, didn't they? I can't remember.
It's kind of more of like a they kind of went to side scroller weirdly enough for their newer one.
Well, that's what it started out as.
Yeah, but they were platformy for a while, and they went back to side scrolling. But I like want them to. I just want more 3D platformers. We can move on. I just think. Oh, and I thought. And one more random a Buzz Lightyear one based on like kind of like do like the new movie.
I mean, that's gonna happen. You know that it's Disney. Like
I know. I'm excited for that.
That movie does look really fucking good.
It looks so good.
I think we were both so surprised with that trailer. Just like, what the fuck? This
actually looks pretty cool. Zurg's in it. Like, what the fuck? But
all right, cool. So you want just like more like a 3D platformer, maybe like leaning a little bit more like it'd be cool to see like a adult themed like an Earthworm Jim type thing.
Earthworm Jim, that's mine. I would like a Earthworm Jim remake.
Word. Cool. All right. So then, I guess outside of video games, what you have do you want to do your movie and then I'll do my live action? Or no, we were gonna do animated. No, you're gonna do animated first, right? Oh no, we're leading into the animated. So what was yours? Is series then, right?
I have a TV show that I would want a live action series to do.
And this is a reboot or revival type thing?
I'll just say we'll decide. I think that I want DC to really look at what Marvel's doing and follow in their footsteps like we've always said forever. But more specifically, I think that they should do a live action Constantine show. Okay.
Kind of like a Peacemaker type thing?
Kind of. But like I would want it because I just rewatched the Keanu Reeves movie, and I know that is a blasphemous movie because they change the character so much. But as a demonic devil movie, like religion movie, like it's pretty good. Like it's actually pretty enjoyable. The special effects are still really good. But I was just thinking about if you were able to do, and maybe even call it like Hellblazer, not Constantine. But do a Hellblazer TV show, which I know they did back in the day, but I'm like, that's why I'm saying maybe it's like it's a revival, and really start doing like what they're doing in the animated shows and introducing like you could even take like the ending of Swamp Thing and you could turn it into now Hellblazer because Constantine was first introduced in Swamp Thing.
Why are you saying Hellblazer?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Hellblazer.
That's his comic.
Oh, Constantine's comic is called Hellblazer?
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that. I thought it was just called Constantine. Okay.
Well, I think there's a one called Constantine, but Hellblazer is like his adventures where he meets like well, like I said, he was introduced.
Yeah.
He has connections with all these other like heroes and stuff. And I was just thinking you could then just kind of turn it into this like DC dark supernatural thing, kind of like they done with the animated movies, but do a live action. Like introduce Batwoman, because a lot of her cases are like supernatural and like like I just think using Constantine as like the umbrella that brings all these like supernatural forces together. Have what's his name? Etrigan,
Joel Edgerton,
demon. Oh no, Etrigan, the demon guy.
Oh, they had Constantine, yeah. You're a lot more familiar with the Constantine lore and like universe than I am, 100%.
Yeah, and then you could even have Raven in it and Trigon and all that kind of shit. Like I just think that if you were to use Constantine, kind of because use him as the overlap because he's the one that is like involved in these deals in the occult.
Mm-hmm.
You could have him like meet these random demons and monsters, and I just think I wanted some kind of Constantine something or other.
I mean, they could easily do something with Constantine in the world of like that's happening in the DC universe of their TV show universe, like with Doom Patrol and Titans.
Yeah. HBO, get on it, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, yeah, that's like DC or that's just I think it's Warner Brothers umbrella now, since it it used to be like the DC original, and now it's technically like DC original and HBO Max / Warner Brothers / what the fuck.
But yeah, that's my I want a revival of the Constantine world.
And I'm assuming with the revival of it, you really want to see him like done like justice, not like an American guy. You know, not. I mean, I remember the Constantine movie. Like, it is fun and whatnot, but yeah, they did take a lot of liberties with the character that had a lot of comic book fans very, very upset.
Yeah, like, well, just Americanizing it too, and like, he was like, kind of like in the movie, is kind of an asshole because he was dying, but in the books, he's just an asshole.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just kind of an asshole. There's not a
they added this extra layer of like, oh, but he's dying and has to be redeemed and stuff.
Yeah, you know, like they added this like where, which I can't remember. Like, I don't know Constantine well enough to know if that ends up becoming, because I know that Constantine the movie it is based off a storyline that there are like they did a bat flick. You know, they took pieces obviously and stringed them together, but. That's one of those movies, you know, like I said about like the Assassin's Creed movie. If you take the Constantine movie and you just kind of remove in your head the fact that it's supposed to be based off this other character, Constantine, it's fine. You know, like, it's a fun demon movie. But
And then my argument is like, well, if you're just going to do that, then why don't you just make it your own goddamn property and not try to put another property name on it just to fucking sell?
Well, because people will be like, this is totally a ripoff of Constantine. It's either a ripoff or it's, what's the word? Or it's
inspired by
not following rip-off or not following true enough to the source material. Yeah. So it's like you're gonna lose either way. So I might as well put the name Constantine on it to drum up sales.
It's like, what sword do you want to fall onto, sir?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah, put Constantine on. At least that will get people excited to see it. And that's the thing, is with the name Constantine, they'll go see it. They'll be pissed off that they saw it, but they still spent the money to go see it.
Still money in their pockets.
Still money in their pockets.
Yeah. All right, word. Yeah, I can dig that. I think a series of it would be kind of cool. This actually kind of does fit into like for live action series that I was talking about, though. Like if you were talking about for series, well, like, you know, I think a really cool live action reboot should be the Animorphs series. Do you remember the Animorph series, where the kids that turn into animals?
I feel like you've talked about this before.
I have. Because like this was also a book series that I was super, super into. I didn't finish the entire book series, but recently I actually kind of like read like the ending of it all. It's like this was created by a young novelist. Her name is Catherine Applegate and her husband Michael Grant. But they wrote together under the moniker of K.A. Applegate. The Wikipedia explanation of this show is well, I'll read the description for the book because it's a little bit more coherent, because like the show itself, like I'll go into the show as well, but this was like what the story ultimately is. Okay, so the plot summary is, the story revolves around 5 humans: Jake, Marco, Cassie, Rachel, and Tobias, and one alien. He has a really weird alien name. Oh, actually, I'll try to say it. Aximilian Escaroth Ismail, nicknamed Axe, who obtained the ability to transform into any animal they touch, naming themselves Animorphs. They use their ability to battle a secret alien infiltration of Earth of a parasitic race of aliens resembling large slugs called Yeerks that can take any living creature as a host by entering and merging with their brain through the Earth Canal. The Animorphs fight as a guerrilla force against the Yeerks, who are led by Visser 3. Throughout the series, the Animorphs carefully protect their identities. The Yeerks assume that the Animorphs are strike forced by the alien race, the Andalites, which is the race that Axe belongs to. All right, so then, like, though the Animorphs can assume the form of any animal they touch to acquire the DNA, there are several limitations to their ability. The most vital one is they cannot stay in animal form for more than 2 hours, or they will be unable to return to human form, and the morphs become permanent. Others include having to demorph back into human between morphs, so like they can't go from one animal to another animal. Only tight clothing being able to be carried over with a morph, so they might they morph naked sometimes. Having to consistently maintain concentration during a morph to prevent the animal's natural instincts from overwhelming their human intellect. A benefit to morphing is that allows the team to heal any superficial non-genetic injury sustained as human or an animal morph. And they can also telepathically communicate with anyone nearby that they call thought speak.
I didn't realize this was so complicated.
Dude, this the concept is super fucking cool. I think
it's actually pretty dope.
I figured after I was explaining that to you, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" I discovered this when I was a kid in the 6th grade, I want to say, and I read the first book I want to say I read was I think I read the 5th book first, and then I was like, "What is this?" And then like got super into it and like started reading it from book 1 to like I think I got to like book 26 or something.
How many are there?
There's a total of 58 books in continuity. That's including 4 of them are like called megamorphs. So each book you follow the narration of one specific character. So, but then the megamorphs, they actually like it goes through like all of the characters. Like each chapter is like a different person's point of view.
Okay.
And then there's 4 expansion books on the history and lore. Which so there's one that's like the history of Elfangor, which is the Andalite that crashes on Earth that gives the kids the power to morph. Then there's like the Hork Bajar and Andalite Chronicles, which tells like how this war started with the Yeerks. And then there's another one that's like this other race of fucking like time interdimensional time and space beings and whatnot. Yeah, like it's super, super covered in like a crazy amount of awesome lore.
Well, it's just like it made me think too when you're describing it like a fucking Power Rangers. You know, Alien gives young teenagers a loaded gun.
100%, yeah. Well, so like
okay.
in the book series, these kids are all like 13 getting these powers. So like 13-year-old kids going and they're going to like now face off this like alien race to protect the Earth and whatnot. In the TV show, they made them all in high school, like more 16, 17. The TV show has actually sparked the careers of a few people that we know. Sean Ashmore, who was Iceman and X-Men.
Oh, the twin?
Yeah. And then Paulo Costanzo, who is the stoner kid Ruben in Road Trip. He plays the alien in it, and he is actually really great as like an awkward, like figuring out how to be a human. And then there's also another actress that kind of people have recognized. Her name is Brooke Nevin. She's a Hallmark leading lady, and she was in an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast right now. Did you? So I'm sorry, I might have missed this. Did you say you watched this show?
Yeah, I rewatched all of it actually the last couple of days. So this was also canceled after like 24 episodes. There's 26 episodes, and it was canceled. It was canceled because of budget issues, and there was a lot of separation. I remember, like, I stopped watching it when I was a kid because the series started going too off from the books, and I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. Because like in the books, the kids like they have like a multitude of animals that they can morph into, you know, and they're always learning new animals. But you know, they can't really get like, you know, a grizzly bear on set for these kids to morph into for a live action show. And like when there is like a Siberian tiger that Jake morphs into in the show, it's like very clearly like just a shot of like a Siberian tiger that's like not really like harming anybody or anything. So like the show canceled because of a lot of budget issues, and the time slot that it was on, just like eventually Nickelodeon, just it wasn't really a good time slot.
And you said, so these kids can turn into any animal, because I was always under the impression just like, okay, so Billy over here can turn into a parrot, and Hannah over here can turn into a gorilla. Like,
no, so as long as they have like been in contact with the animal and they've like touched it and like absorbed the idea of its DNA, they can turn into that animal. So like Jake's first morph is
Boy.
Huh?
Like Beast Boy.
Yeah. But I think Beast Boy is more like that's more like intermittent, like latent powers where he remembers how to turn into different animals. I don't really. Does he need to actually like be in contact with an animal to like learn their DNA?
I think he has to see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
like when he was on Starfire's home planet, he was able to. He turned into something. He's like, "What the hell was that?" She's like, "Oh, it's a Glorbersporg." He's like, "What?"
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so they have to be in contact with with an animal, and they eventually they learn where they can start like, morphing into other humans, like absorb like a specific human's DNA.
That's cool.
Yeah, but very early on, one of the characters, Tobias, makes the mistake, and he gets stuck as a bird for most of the series. And
there's no way to come back.
Well, what ends up happening is that he, through the Elemist, which is the being between time and space, shows that actually Tobias is the son of the alien Elfangor that gave them the powers to morph into, because Elfangor in the past fell in love with his mother on Earth. And then the Elemist travels him through time where Tobias meets his younger self and is able to copy his own DNA back into himself and gives himself the power to morph back. So he can morph into animals again, or no, maybe he can just morph back into himself. But yeah, he can turn back into human form at some point. But if he stays in human form for more than 2 hours, he will forever be a human again.
Cool.
But the craziest thing about the show, though, is that, or the books, is that it has a super depressing ending for a kid's series. Like, one of them dies in battle, and the other one, like, they like shame the leader, Jake, because he like sent his cousin Rachel, who dies, literally knowing she was gonna die without really like kind of telling her that it was a suicide mission. Mm-hmm. And then like after like they kind of like save everybody from the Yerks, then like they get a transmission like Axe has been taken over by some other like huge entity, another thing, and then they have to go into space to try and like save Axe, and then it ends pretty much with their fates unknown. Like they go to like face off this like on their final battle, and it's just like, and we don't know what happens to them.
And that's some Christopher Nolan bullshit.
But yeah, I mean, with all of the lore and like how like really just like how expansive this like series really is, and since it is like short, like it's only it's like 60 books at most, so you could shorten that down and have that be like 4 or 5 seasons, 10 episodes each, and really like do something in like like a Stranger's thing type, the streamer thing. But like since this is owned by Nickelodeon, Paramount Plus could do something like this. It could be like it could feel like a Titans or a Doom Patrol.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, but this is like you'd have to be careful though, because this idea, like you were saying too, is like, well, and that's the thing, you'd have to really commit to giving it a budget, because if you were to do this half-assed, it's gonna come off real cheesy, and no one's gonna like it. So, which is what
happened with the Nickelodeon show. Like like watching this Nickelodeon show, I was like, oh my god, this quality is so bad. It was so bad.
I bet. It's on Amazon Prime. I might check it out.
Yeah, it's free on Amazon Prime with ads. But also, really strangely, rewatching it, the episodes are not in the right order.
What do you mean?
Like, I was watching it, like, it'll, like, give you the description of what, like, episode 2 is supposed to be, but episode 2 is actually being played as, like, episode 4. Like, the actual, like, upload of the streaming of it is out of sync.
That's weird. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen it before either. It was really, really strange.
It's really weird. Huh.
But yeah. I mean, yeah. So yeah, the Animorphs live action series, I think, and also like it's very like it's the cast of characters are all diverse, and the entire like it deals with like PTSD, just like themes of war and loss and like morality and like all of these like themes for a kid's book are just like fucking crazy. So, and I think it could be, again, put them more like in high school again. That would be like more teenagers. I don't make them 13.
It was like, do you want them to be kids or young adults? Kind of thing.
I would think like young adults, maybe like not, because like Stranger Things, like the kids were like 13 in that. I think just a little bit older just because of like the weight of the decisions and like the stuff that's happening to them, you know?
Yeah. That's a good one. You're killing it today, bruh.
I had a lot of time to do research.
Okay. What's next?
I think we're on to our last two. Oh yeah, I was supposed to do a dark water on that one, so we'll just switch that. What's your last one that you got? I think it's movie.
Yeah. So I again had a hard time with this one specifically because I kept running into this thing. I kept doing this thing where I was like, "Oh, such and so would be really." Oh, they already did that. What about no? They did that. You know, so I kept hitting this like wall, and then I was talking to.
No, never mind.
What?
I was like, that's funny that you're having a hard time. It's like, because this was your idea, wasn't it? I was like, oh wait, no, this was my idea.
And then I was talking to my partner, and she was bringing up some things. I was like, yeah, that'd be cool, but at the same time, I don't want them. Like, she brought up, well, like, what about, because we were talking about movies that can be redone because of the limitations they had special effects wise the time they were made. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, but a lot of those, the charm is the special effects.
Or they've already gotten a really good reboot that's happening, like Dune.
Yeah, or like she brought up like Willow. I was like, I wouldn't want Willow to be remade. I like the way it looks, and I love the casting. And then she was like, Legend. All these movies, I was like, I don't really know if I'd want a modern adaptation of them because part of the charm is the glitter flittering around in Legend. You know what I mean? But I then started thinking about. Then I got on this nautical kick, and I came to the realization I would love either, which we kind of brought up. We talked about like a psychological thriller Moby Dick thing. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, no, just with today's like special effects, do 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Like now, that'd be sick. I'm only worried because technically it's a Disney property.
It is?
And yeah, the original one came out in 1954. It's a Disney movie, so I'm assuming they still have the rights to it.
Oh god, I forgot they actually made a movie. That's a depressing story for Disney. Well, it's the 50s.
Yeah.
Wow, man. That would be cool, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Jules Verne, writer, blah, 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 but I'm trying... I mean, like I said, yeah, so Disney released the 1954 movie, and I'm just assuming that they would still hold on... They still... Right?
Maybe?
Like, they seem to kind of, like, just buy things and hold on to them
re-up
forever.
on their shit?
Yeah. Like, well, you know, like, why would they not still own it? Jesus. 1954, the budget for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was $4.3 million.
That's a lot
what?
Of money for
in 1954? The fuck? That's a lot of money. That's like the amount of money some countries have. Jesus. Holy shit.
Would you like to buy this country or make this movie?
Yeah, like...
Goddamn, God. Disney.
Jeez. Yeah, in 2009, there was a plan that they were going to make it, do a reboot of it, but nothing has really come from that yet.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be directed by Fincher, which...
Oh, interesting. Do you think that'd be a thing? Like, would you want to like a 2.5 hour, 3-long singular movie? Or do you think that would be like, maybe like do like a 3-movie trilogy type thing? Because it's a big book. There's a lot that happens in it, but there's also a lot of nothing happening in it as well.
A trilogy would be kind of cool, or like a 2-parter. The only thing though is that what I got worried about was like, I was going back and forth with this. I was like, oh, but it's Disney. Are they going to be able to are they going to do the dark stuff the way I'd want it to? And then I was like, well, you know, like they own Marvel and they're doing there's a lot of dark stuff that happens in there, and like with Captain Nemo and everything. And then I thought about the original Pirates of the Caribbean, and I was like, that movie was pretty dark.
Yeah, but it was dark, but it was still like child friendly. It was like,
yeah, it was fantastical, but it's, you know, and I was like, just and that I mean, and that might be kind of a cop out because they're both nautical themed, but I mean that's a very well done pirate movie. So I mean that makes me think they could do the Nautilus and this whole underwater world and everything, and show Atlantis and um, but. And then my big fear too is they would do like I would be pissed if they did a CG. I'd want this to be live action.
Oh,
want it to be
dude, but like, what was that League of Legends show that just came out? Arcane.
Yeah. Oh.
Like
that'd be cool.
That would look really cool in that
with that
animation
art style.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That would be really cool. Yeah. I guess if they were a little more edgy with it, I just wouldn't want them to do like their like. Actually, even Incredibles, that'd be a cool way to do it. Okay, I take back what I said. But like Incredibles, that geometric kind of art style, that'd be kind of cool because it's kind of you can kind of go steampunky with it.
Wait, the Incredibles, like Disney Incredibles?
Yeah, like that art style, but like with the Nautilus and the gears and everything being very geometrical.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's like that art style, is just like it's so smooth and round. There's like a happiness to it, even still. Like, even like when it gets depressing, like Wall-E, there's still a bubbliness to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, that's mine. 20,000 Leagues Into the Sea would be cool.
All right, yeah.
But again, you have to lean into the like. It's like I want Nemo to be Nemo. I want him to be.
Yeah, I mean that
actually,
and that's kind of like I was thinking, like if it wasn't like the Incredibles, like I mean maybe could do it. I don't know. Just like thinking of like who Nemo is and what he becomes. It needs something more like darker and rougher around the edges if it was to become animated, and then if it was to be live action. I could see it in a world like what the guy who's the guy that did Dune, like he would be a good director for it. Good visionary.
Yeah. Who did direct it?
It's like begins with a V. There's a V in his name.
Denis Villeneuve
or something. Villeneuve. I'm not looking at the name.
I butchered that.
Yeah, but yeah, cool. Do you have any more to add on to that, or should I cap us off with my animated series I want to see get rebooted, which is strangely in theme with the water.
What do you got?
I say we really need from the 1990s the animated show Pirates of Darkwater. To be rebooted. Man, the show was so good. And I just showed Tom. Actually, I bought the entire series for. It's only like 2 seasons ish. There's like 26 episodes or something. 21 episodes before it was canceled.
21 episodes, okay.
Yeah, it only ran from 1991 to 1993, and this was a Hanna-Barbera creation. It was created by David Kirshner, so like this is what kind of inspired it. David Kirshner, who we recently just talked about for the Pagemaster, the producer for that, who also like he's one of the creators for An American Tail and Hocus Pocus.
Yes, cool. I'm looking at images of it right now. This show lived in a time where animation was really kind of like maturing, and it like we had like all of our Transformers and He-Man and G.I. Joe that was kind of more of like just like episode by episode syndication type thing. Well, Transformers was kind of like chronological in its own way, but the animation was still kind of like choppy and like slow. Like this, like rewatching the show, like the episodes, it's like you can see where like animation was like moving into becoming so much more crisp and like what the Batman animated series kind of did, Yeah.
Or even like X-Men or Spider-Man, where the animation like is like it's more thought out cinematically in a very much a crisp way, I should say. And you can see that the show was kind of like getting there. It was almost there. So let me tell you, well, here's the synopsis of it. The alien world of Myr is being devoured by an evil substance known as dark water. Only Ren, a young prince, can stop it by finding the lost 13 treasures of Rule. His loyal crew of misfits that help him on his journey are an echomancer, Tula, a monkey bird, Niddler, and a treasure-hungry pirate, Ayaz. The evil pirate lord, Bloth, will stop at nothing to get the treasure for himself and provides many obstacles for Ren and his crew. So this was like a Sunday morning cartoon lineup for me that I fucking loved when I was a kid that was then replayed on a Cartoon Network. And it had like just a great like cast of characters. And also the voice talent of the show was Frank Welker, Tim Curry, George Newbern, who is Superman in Justice League and in Injustice 2, and is a recognizable actor. Jodie Benson, who was the voice of Ariel in The Little Mermaid and Barbie and Toy Story. Peter Cullen, who's the voice of Optimus Prime. Jim Cummings, who was the voice of Long John Silver in Pagemaster and is the voice of Pete in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
And this guy Brock Peters, who does the voice of Darth Vader in the radio drama recordings for Star Wars.
Wow, that's quite the crew.
It had an amazing voice cast, and like when I was reading into like why it got canceled, like apparently like starting in season 2, like they started running behind on schedule for episodes, and so the budget was getting too high, and then eventually they were just like, if you guys can't make the episodes on time that they need to be released, we're pulling the plug, and they just had to pull the plug halfway in the middle. Like they only like found 8 of the 13 treasures, and it literally ends on kind of like a season 2 like, and we're setting off to sail to find the next one type thing, and it just never happens. And this show has like what's up?
I was gonna say, did you see that there in '91 there was a comic series, a Marvel comic series based on the show?
Yes, there was. Marvel ended up doing a short-lived comic series for it. So like this is technically could be a Marvel property and could maybe be redone on Disney Plus or something. But I would really want the art style to kind of like live in it, like kind of how it was with like the He-Man Masters of the Universe remake on Netflix is really good, like for the art style for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
That'd be cool, because even I'm looking at the like images of it right now, and the character design is really cool.
Yeah, no, it really is. I think you'd really like the character design, especially like just the pirate. Like they all look very piratey, you know, and it's a world of it's just a world of pirates. And like so. I found this really cool article on Collider written by Dave Trumbore that was published last year in 2021 that kind of talks about the series and like how it was canceled and like how like there's so much like properties that are like being revived that this could be one. And one of the coolest like arguments I saw for it, he said, is if done right, it could please shareholders in the process well. The cast of characters are mainly people of color, heroes and villains alike, and they come in all shapes, sizes, power sets, and persuasions. There's an overwhelmingly dangerous environmental catastrophe that's slowly eating the world as they know it, and only the most evil of evildoers are aligned with the Dark Water's nefarious intent. Classes divide the waterlogged world of Myr, much as the same as our own world. Magic and mystery hide in plain sight or within coves of islets and deep within the world's jungles of the waters of Myr itself, with untold places to explore. The adventure is found around every corner as the wind whisks the pirate crew of the Wraith, that's the name of their ship, the Wraith, off in search of treasure to drive the dark water back into the deep. Like, the dark water is like an idea of like fucking global warming, you know?
Yeah.
And also it says right here, plus if someone was very clever with designs, the monkey bird could be Warner Brothers like Baby Yoda. Like it could like pop off that, like it could be that cute and that like pop off that big. And you could literally just take the exact same setup from the 1991 story and just do it again.
Yeah.
Like, it's a solid story. Like you just like add it, just soup up a little bit more drama into it, because it still feels like that '90s thing where like the storyline kind of jumps from one beat to the next kind of quickly. Like you find out like the very first episode, in the first 5 minutes, Ren is like being given this magic thing, and then the woman that's been taking care of him is like, "Oh, you're actually a prince, and I was told to look after you, and it's now your time to go on your journey." And he's like, "Oh, I'm a prince. I have to go save people now." Like,
I guess I'm doing that today. And it looks like it's been long enough too, where you could, in a sense, like you said, copy and paste it, and people like you would know, but younger people or people like me would have no idea there was a copy and paste situation.
No. Yeah, exactly. I mean, because like, I said like maybe the first like couple episodes kind of do a copy and paste, and then everything afterwards, like how they discover these like treasures and whatnot. Yeah, maybe take a little bit of influence from like the worlds and the characters that were created in the other like 16 episodes, but like beyond that, it's like you have like since it was never finished, the world is your oyster, you know, like literally, like get some oysters in the world. It's just such a fun franchise that I think could do really well if executed properly.
I did something. I'll tell you. I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
I just looked something up in relation to Pirates of Dark Water, and oh yeah, there we go. If it exists, it exists.
I know exactly what you were thinking. Alrighty then.
I just looked it up. I was like, there's an image of one of the characters, and I went, there's no way that they didn't do that. Like, just looking at her, I was like,
are you looking at a picture of Tula right now?
Mm-hmm. I was like, I know this world, and there's no way they didn't do something with her.
There were people probably doing it back in 1991.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was like, I just went, yep, there it is, closed. Just curious, because it really is. It is really that is a truth. Truth 43.
Jesus. It's 34.
I know, but it's because I wasn't saying rule. Truth 43.
All right. Way to taint my
I
show.
didn't do it. They did it.
All right, so yeah. I mean, I guess a quick overview. Let me see. My video game was Parasite Eve. You kind of are like leaning in with Earthworm Jim, just kind of want more of like the 3D platformer to be revived in a big way.
Yeah.
And then what, you had Constantine as like a cool show that could be done live?
Yeah, Constantine, a DC supernatural show with Constantine kind of being the lead and introducing all these characters that in this time I feel like are kind of like on the back burner because of like, you know, we're focused on Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman, but like have like these characters that are really cool, but they just really haven't had a lot of.
You kind of just want the Dark Justice League to happen.
Yeah, I want a live action Dark Justice League. Yeah, fuck Constantine. I want live action.
There we
Dark.
go.
Yeah, that's all.
And then Animorph Series is what I was saying, which. Yeah, I knew as soon as I like read you that like the story explanation of this and Pirates of Dark Water, I figured you were gonna be like, these are really cool ideas. Like,
yeah,
because they're flushed out worlds, you know.
You got me. I would be very excited for the Dark Water thing more than the Animorphs, just because it's pirates and shit. You know,
100%, yeah.
Like I would love to get my hands on the Super Nintendo game.
It's fun. I remember playing it. It's just a beat 'em up side scroller. Oh no, it's not a side. The Sega Genesis one was more of a side scroller with more RPG elements, but the Super Nintendo one was like a final fight, like beat 'em up, like Turtles in Time type beat 'em up type game.
Cool, I like that. Those are fun just to fuck around with.
And then what you had to do 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is your movie of request. Whoever's listening out there, developers, people, or I don't know, hire us to write it. I don't know. Fuck, I'm not doing anything right
now. He's bored. Yeah, I guess that's everything, right?
Yeah, I think that's all we got for the day.
Do I have any other? No. That was it. Yeah. So I guess like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please give us a rating if you're enjoying, or even if you have some constructive criticisms. We're always here to listen. We're both pretty reachable, so if you want to send us a message, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And yeah, I guess that's everything, right?
Yeah, and we'll figure out exactly what'll be our next recording is going to be when we get off. I figure.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Sounds good. This is Tommy.
And this is Jacob.
This is
Tommy and Jacob's mixtape.
Fuck.
Bye, guys. Signing off.
Bye.